Ridiculous.
All right, where are you calling from, Vitaly?
North Carolina today. A little town in North Carolina. Actually, I should have been. I just left Miami, and yesterday was a fun day. I didn't show all the pictures, but I was getting flashed by some. I don't know if it was a worker or what, but for literally 3 hours on the beach. The BBLs that we talked about on the on Twitter.
The ones you didn't know about what a BBL was?
I
Yes,
didn't
I
know what it
remember that.
stand for, but I looked it up, and yes, there's a lot of BBLs in Miami, and she was flashing like every 5-10 minutes. She would do a stretch, and she was just in the sun sunbathing for like hours. I was there hours. I wasn't gonna leave until she was gonna leave. Like it was.
Oh my gosh. This was some
It was
random
good. It was
woman.
good. Random. And then I walked back by the beach. I was like, maybe I'm on a nude beach, because then somebody else was walking by, totally nude as well. I don't know. Maybe Miami has changed their laws. I have no idea, but it was interesting. Miami's a very cool place to hang out. And my wife saw the tweets that I was doing. She's like, "Why don't you send me the picture?" And I'm like, "I ain't sending you shit."
Dude, no, it's funny. I was with a friend a couple months ago, and they were like, "Oh yeah, in Miami, there's all these BBLs." And I was like, "What the hell's a BBL?" And they're like,
"Oh,
you
didn't know too, huh?"
I didn't know it like 10 months ago. They're like, "It's a Brazilian butt lift." I was like, "What? Girls do that?" They're like, "Yeah, Miami's like the capital of where that's done." I was like, "Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting." Welcome everybody to another episode of Finance Junkies. We are here. It is December 3rd, 2023, 9 p.m. Carlos is just fixing his webcam, and then he'll be live. First of all, how was your guys' weekend?
Are you sure? I thought he was out shopping for a private jet. There's all this Bitcoin.
Hey, how about me? What am I, chop liver?
Why don't we just get into that? We'll start with that. Carlos will join. Bitcoin.
Well, before that, let him come on. He'll talk more Bitcoin, whatever. But I do want to mention one thing. There were some people on Twitter who said, "Hey, you should have hit me up. We could have gotten a drink." And so as I travel around, I'm doing my own Junkie Con, the mini version of Junkie Con. So I'm in North Carolina. If someone is around, I forgot what town. I'm going to put it on Twitter. But if someone is around and you're available Saturday for a drink, that's because I usually have a day off Saturday. That's why it's Saturday. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Hit up Vitaly on Twitter and just don't be a killer.
Don't be a murderer.
Don't be a murderer. And you can get a drink with Mr. Vitaly.
Just be super hot and not a murderer. And a woman. I'm just going to preface it. No. Anybody, obviously. Anybody who's chill.
Okay, so BTC approaching 41K. We know
I didn't see it go to 41. I saw it go to 40, but okay.
It's
41
at 47.9. It's like it's close to that. I guess here's my question. We know there's a ton of catalysts, but none of them have truly materialized yet. So is this kind of peak euphoria given November was so risk on? And No.
Peak euphoria is nowhere near at this point. This is what you don't understand. Okay. Wait till the real FOMO, besides your bullshit FOMO that comes in at $40,000, because I'm sure people on the pod who are watching, I was buying 20,000 and under, a lot of Bitcoin. Okay. And I also sold some Bitcoin when it ran, but I have a stake that I don't touch. Okay. And when it was between 15 and 20, Amit said it's junk. Okay. No, why should I invest in this when SoFi will 10x on me? SoFi has done dick. Okay, let me put that. And Bitcoin,
but the options on SoFi I have not done dick, which is
Yeah, listen, Bitcoin has. If you can gamble with Bitcoin too, but it's basically.
But here's my question. I get what you're saying, but
14K. Hold on.
Do you think, given the run the past 3 months,
2.5x, 3x, right?
I get it, but it's ran a lot in the past 3 months. Are you not at all worried that I know it's not peak euphoria? I get it, but that there's a lot of momentum coming in and.
I mean, look, I have enough Bitcoin. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not buying any Bitcoin right now. I'm not DCAing into Bitcoin right now. My DCA was around 20,000 and under. That's when I was DCAing Bitcoin. So the thing is, if you don't have Bitcoin, that means you just don't understand or don't believe. Like, I know it's speculative, but you just don't believe in the narrative. And maybe you're starting to learn some of this, but the narrative that it is gold 2.0, that is a hard currency, that it's going to replace gold for the younger generation. And it's important. It's important for those people that are growing up. They're not going to grow up with wanting gold bars or ETFs on gold. They're going to want the new thing. And the new thing is digital currency. They're going to want that. And the reason they're going to want that is very simple, because my kids right now are growing up and every day they're asking me for money to spend on Robux or buy some fucking gems in Gorilla Tag now on the Oculus. They understand digital money. Like they get it. It's just intrinsically understand. So once you put a value that they can carry that between places and it's forever, like gold was, then I think they intrinsically understand that and they will have no problem adopting it, especially as the ETF and everything comes into play. So that's my opinion on it. That it's not going away. It's not going anywhere.
Carlos, let me ask you this question to start off. Do you feel the run in the past month up 15% is a little too much and your spidey senses are signaling to like this should chill, or you think it's just getting started?
Unlike a stock, I don't think it's run up too much with Bitcoin, because remember, it's a currency. It's a currency pool. And so more people adding to the currency pool raises the value of it. It's not like a stock where, oh man, it's run up too much. It's trading at too high of a PE. Doesn't exist with Bitcoin. I think this is these sorts of run-ups in Bitcoin are a function of the effect that the inflation rate of Bitcoin is fixed and planned. And people are understanding there's a limited amount of time to be able to get into this asset before the inflation rate goes to 1%. Right now, the inflation rate of Bitcoin is roughly the inflation rate of gold, right? The yearly inflation rate. Somebody was posting this on X the other day. And once that halving happens, Bitcoin's inflation rate, I think it becomes either 1% or less than 1%. That's huge. That's effectively, halving the inflation rate of the current world's gold. And now we're going to see, I think we're going to see a massive jump in price moving forward. It's not to say that it can't pull back, but what I think this push to 40,000 on roughly no news.
That's what I'm asking. There is no news. So like, why do you think the money's piling in? That's kind of my bigger question.
So it's what I said earlier. I think, every day more and more people wake up to the idea of what Bitcoin is, what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general represent. And we're just finding less and less sellers. There was a great statistic somebody posted on X the other day that for the first time ever leading up to the halving, there is a record number of Bitcoin that is off the exchanges.
Yeah.
Typically in the year prior to the halving, most of the money is on exchanges. This is actually a knock-on effect of all of the negative of the negative catalysts that we saw earlier on in the year with STX or the collapse of specific exchanges, the Binance thing. People trust the currency, but they might not trust the custodians of that currency. So they're pulling it off. Well, what does that mean? That means that there's no more instant sells of Bitcoin. There's no more like limit sells. So now if you want to sell your Bitcoin, it's a process. You've got to plug in your hardware key, access the Bitcoin, move it to an exchange in order to sell it. It's like putting a 3-day hold on a check in your bank. It's just a lot harder to sell Bitcoin now than it is to buy Bitcoin. And so I actually didn't expect this, but it's actually a positive catalyst as a result of all of the negative effects of all of these exchange collapses. It's a lot harder to sell it than it is to buy it now at this point. And I think people are getting hit to it.
So here's the thing. First, you guys have to admit that you were wrong and I was right. It's the truth. Go ahead, show the chart. There you go. So this is MSTR versus just regular USD Bitcoin. So you can see MSTR, MicroStrategy, is way outperformed regular Bitcoin. So just putting that out there, when you guys were talking about it in October, I said, look, it's probably better just to buy MSTR rather than Bitcoin, and you don't have to deal with.
You can't say you're right when you didn't buy any, buddy.
Whoa, hold on. Hold on. I'm a principled person.
You gotta put your money where your mouth is.
No. That's not how it works. First of all, the comparison here was which one was going to outperform. All right. So just admit that you were wrong, and you were like, "Oh no, I just want to hold my Bitcoin. I don't want."
What has outperformed, MSTR or Bitcoin, since I owned it from 2012?
No. It doesn't matter when you.
Can somebody go back in
when
time?
we started talking about.
Can somebody go back in time?
Needed a way to be right. I love it.
Can someone go back in time and take a look? When I bought Bitcoin, I did not buy MSTR.
Listen, don't make me go back and go to the video. Dude, and when we were talking about it, and you were saying,
no, that's fine.
About this.
First of all, I like that you're bringing up. We said that's not a bad proxy. I didn't say it was. I said it's better to own the asset but it's okay to gamble on options for things. We do that.
So
that is
the
not a problem.
MSTR so
You
the
know, Vitaly,
MSTR
you've been
just let
more.
him, just
We've
let
been
him
right
finish.
since
Wait,
2012.
just let
We
him
haven't been
finish,
right for
and
1
then
month.
So
We've been right for since
let
2012.
him finish
dude.
taking what he
Listen,
thinks is a victory
I've-
lap, and then we'll
yeah,
correct him.
Sure.
so here's the thing, just in terms of like a total return, MSTR was a better total return. I am, by the way, I don't have MSTR, I don't have Bitcoin, but the
You bought
question of
Verizon
time-
instead.
but
Congratulations.
yeah, and trust me,
get-
you if Amit knows what I've done in Verizon, so let's
Should have
not
bought
go
those
there.
MSTR spreads.
You know, no. See, here's the thing. This is the fundamental problem with trying to invest in this this asset class. It's not as simple to figure out what the valuation is going to be, at any given time. But in terms of total price appreciation, you would see higher price appreciation in MicroStrategy because most of their Bitcoin is actually leveraged. So what happens is now they use a lot of their debt instruments to buy MSTR. Right. And so if you have a leverage product that's going to do better than just holding
I'm
the
not
asset
disagreeing.
itself.
My problem with first of all, I never disagreed with that. If you go back to that video, I said that's fine to do. I actually said, yeah, that's a good bet. But our main point was that you should still own the asset. You should still own at least partially in your portfolio. You got to own assets at the end of the day. Not everything could be a leveraged play that lasts for 6 months.
Well, it's not just a leveraged play.
You have to buy the house.
Look,
Okay?
in terms
At some
of,
point,
you're
not listening to this.
Yeah.
You're talking over me. You're not listening. At some point, you have to buy the house. Bitcoin is a piece of property that you have to own. And I understand investing and getting some return, but that should be a portion of your portfolio. It shouldn't be the whole thing. At some point, you have to buy the house. This isn't something crazy I'm making up. This is just like wild truth that people should understand. And I hope people in the comments are not actually listening to you, because then everybody becomes a gambler. We don't want everybody to be a gambler. We want people to buy.
I mean, technically, if
hard assets and
MicroStrategy is correlated with Bitcoin, it's not gambling. If Bitcoin's a bigger gamble than
Because
MicroStrategy,
they physically hold assets. So here's the other thing.
I understand, but if
what if
MicroStrategy
you lose your
does
key?
something wrong?
What if you lose your key? Then what happens?
No. Okay, so look, yes, there's always, if I lose the key to my actual physical house, I have to get a locksmith. I get it.
Right, but you can't do that with Bitcoin, right? You can't.
Well, keep it at Coinbase.
That's a silly
Dude, the
approach.
point is, can I just say Bitcoin rallying is great for everybody? We all make money.
No,
I don't
it's
know what we're
not.
arguing about.
Everyone-
We
it's
just
good
made,
for everybody.
me and Carlos just made a
I-
shit ton of money.
here's the
I don't know what we're arguing
thing.
about. here.
I want to say something though, because I'm actually a bit disappointed that you're coming out right now trying to find some way of spinning this into some sort of a negative, and somehow that you were right and that me and Vitaly were wrong. Understand something, man.
No.
Wait, I let you finish. Wait, I let you finish.
I let you finish.
So what I'm saying is this, okay? Here's the thing. You're still, even when you talk about Bitcoin, you're like, it's still hard to figure out what Bitcoin's true valuation is. You fundamentally don't understand the asset class. And it's okay, Chris. You don't need to understand and be the champion of everything. You operate well within the operates that you invest in, and you don't understand cryptocurrency. It's okay. But it doesn't mean that you have to find a way of somehow shitting on it or comparing it to another asset. This is what we always do. Whenever we can't figure out who's right, it goes, well, there's the cost of opportunity that I could have won by investing in something else. HIMS could be up 200% over the year. And you could say, oh, well, then investing in this stock would have been better than holding Bitcoin as an asset. It's an argument that you can always make. And it's silly. It's an argument that people make with altcoins versus Bitcoin. To Vitaly's point, this is an asset class. There is no PE. There's no CEO. There's no earnings. It's 24/7. It trades all around the world all the time. Okay?
No. I totally agree. I'm not disagreeing that your thesis on Bitcoin was correct or incorrect. That's not the thesis that I was. No, I'm not. I'm not disagreeing with that. My thing was,
did you buy that pizza with Bitcoin?
It's hard to figure out what Bitcoin's valuation is. This is what you're saying.
No, it is. It is.
What is it worth? It's not hard to figure out.
No. It's worse than that.
All the money in the world.
He's saying it's better to gamble than to own assets, and that's the only thing I'm fighting against.
It's
not better to gamble. It's better to gamble 10% of a portfolio. Fine. Lose it or win big. But the majority, my whole point was you were not wrong about MSTR in terms of options. Absolutely not, or spreads or whatever. My whole point was that at the end of the day, you have to own the actual underlying asset for certain things, because MSTR can shoot up, true. Then I forgot the CEO's name. What's his name? The MicroStrategy CEO?
Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor could do something fucking stupid. Maybe someone loses the keys to Bitcoin in their company, first of all. Who the hell knows? Anything can happen with the actual company that has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. And then you're affected, of course, you know, because you've invested in the company and Michael Saylor to do right, as opposed to the underlying asset. It's the same thing of buying REITs. When I buy a REIT, I expect a dividend. I expect the company to pay me out and execute very well. And if they don't, then the stock goes down. But at the end of the day, it is better that I bought multiple properties and have rental income coming straight into my pocket. That is the better thing at the end of the day. It can't all be about the REITs. It has to be about owning the real estate. It can't all be about spreads on MicroStrategy. It has to be about owning the Bitcoin. You can do both. I'm not saying don't do, but that should be a very small percentage of any portfolio. That's the only point I wanted to make.
Wait, but just to piggyback that, what I want to say is you're not factoring in the additional risk that you take when you buy someone as a custodian of Bitcoin as a holder. And that's what VITALY was getting at there. Bitcoin could go up in value, but if no one buys MicroStrategy stock, then the stock will stay flat. And so what you're seeing is an amplification on both sides. If Bitcoin has a 10 or 15% pullback, that's a massive hit to MicroStrategy's portfolio, which could cause an oversell on their stock, and you could lose more money on the downside. And so you're not understanding that the additional risk that you're taking on, because there's still people that are buying and selling the security that's related to the underlying asset. This is what we saw with Coinbase stock. Okay, this is exactly what we saw.
Yeah,
with
Coinbase
stock.
is up
It
like
was
4 or 5x.
Yeah, there's a disproportional on the upside and the downside. So it's basically MicroStrategy stock is like buying an option on Bitcoin, and you have all the risks that are associated with the options, and then you have the other side that MicroStrategies is a business and has to report earnings and has all of the same risks that you have with a traditional stock. So even if you can point out in this little small window that we talked about that MicroStrategies outperformed Bitcoin as an asset class, you're not factoring in the risk and you're not factoring the overall thesis. We haven't even run yet, homie. We haven't even run yet. This is the thing. Baby.
So the strategy that he's claiming is not over, by the way. I actually think there's a long runway for that strategy. If Bitcoin is going over 100 grand, what's MicroStrategy going to do? It's probably going to do better than, like you said, than the underlying asset.
Well, there's a couple of other things that we just have to clarify. When you buy the MicroStrategy stock, in my opinion, it's not an option. All right. You're actually buying an underlying asset, but it's as a proxy. So there's a big difference between buying options on MicroStrategy versus buying the MSTR, which is a proxy for the Bitcoin ownership. Yes, there can be premiums, and yes, there could be sometimes like Bitcoin could be trading at a premium at MSTR, but for the most of the time, it actually trades at a discount. Right. So right now I have to still look at it like what the current value of Bitcoin is versus what MSTR is. The other thing is MSTR is a cash flowing business, which they are leveraging to then issue more debt to buy more Bitcoin. So you're getting a leverage play as well. So if you guys are,
what happens if MSTR gets margin called?
Well, that's the point, that this is where you have to weigh the risks associated with it, right? There's also, like I said, there's risks on both sides of the argument here. Let's say you lose the Bitcoin in your wallet. Let's say there's something that happens to it, right? You're taking on all the ownership, just like when you're running, like I said,
when you lose the keys, by the way, when you're bringing up a bad point, because when you lose the keys, you lost the keys. When I bought MicroStrategy and they fuck up, I didn't do anything wrong. If I lost the keys, I did something wrong.
But that's the point that I'm saying, that the MicroStrategy, I would rather have proxy ownership with MicroStrategy than try to own it myself. But then again, I'm not really concerned with this. I don't even know why I'm chiming in right now, other than just saying from a total return standpoint. From a total return standpoint, MicroStrategy, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, I think that there's actually more potential to do well in MicroStrategy versus just owning Bitcoin, right? That was the argument that I was trying to make. Not that, hey, I believe in Bitcoin or I don't believe it. Believe it or not, I'm not a Bitcoin guy. For me, it's still hard to understand why the value.
So the timing is really hard. Let me just point out that the timing of this is really hard. And because we know, me and Carlos were at 69,000, 67,000, whatever. Like, oh, this is going to 100 grand. And the people who bought MicroStrategy, they thought it was going 100 grand too.
Yeah.
They held their fucking MicroStrategy. I held my Bitcoin. So somebody did better. It was me. Bitcoin did not fall as much as MicroStrategy.
MicroStrategy in December 2021. Collapsed. Oh shit. MicroStrategy was $800.
Holy crap. I'm saying it collapsed. So you can have the proxy and you could miss the timing, and then you're screwed. If you hold the asset, if you hold your real estate, you're not screwed. You still own the asset. You just have to wait it out. Your option player, whatever. Let's say you do have stock, then that's a little bit better.
Right, it's still down
But
50.
but if
Amit,
but the people who are playing options and
comparison.
spreads on all of this got creamed.
Do a comparison to BTC.
I think what it seems like to me is that you don't
no
either,
BTC
you
on
don't either
Google?
want to admit or don't agree that Bitcoin it was and is a great investment, and you're finding some way to participate in the
No,
run-up.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm
You're
just
finding some way to
yeah.
participate in the run up without admitting or accept or
Without
somehow
admitting he should
if you
invest in
admit and
Bitcoin.
accept that Bitcoin's a good investment, it's like you would be somehow taking
Dude,
an L.
dude,
So
honestly,
can I point this out,
we want
by
you
the
to
way?
invest with us. Like,
I want to point this out. The reason I brought up that can you point that up? Share that screen again. The reason I brought this up, and you're asking about the run, is Bitcoin's run over, dude. The market cap is 792 billion, which okay, that sounds like it could be a lot, but that's not even. That's one company. Let's say that's Tesla. That's one company, and this is a global currency that's trading 24/7, as Carlos discussed. So it is nowhere near close to its end valuation, whatever that is. Whatever that end valuation is, and I don't want to speculate, but it's probably in the hundreds of thousands. And 792 billion is not enough for this to be a successful experiment. It's just not enough. It has to be more if this is successful.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
I just
Go ahead,
think
Chris.
right now there's a couple of ways to invest in Bitcoin. Of course, it's not always just buy the underlying assets. You could buy the miners. Some people are bullish on the miners, right? Some people are bullish on MSTR. Some people are bullish on the asset itself. So, there's other ways to make money on it. So like right now, some people, and this is the same debate that goes on with gold. Some people want to own the physical gold themselves. Like, hey, I want to, like put it in a safe somewhere in my house. Other people like, no, I'm okay with buying, bank shares in gold where they actually have like basically a gold certificate that gives you guaranteed ownership over some portion of gold, right? That's what Palantir did. You remember that, Amit? Where they didn't actually physically hold the gold because shit would be hard to buy $5 million worth of gold, but they had certificates that were proxies for it. And then other people are, bullish on gold miners. So all I'm saying is if you're bullish, there's multiple ways to skin this cat. You guys clearly are more on the camp that, hey, I just want to own the underlying asset, which is totally fine. Each one has its benefits and detractions. That's all I was trying to say. In my opinion,
let me ask you one question. Hold on, I have one question for Chris.
$100,000 question. The $100,000 question.
Wait, I do have a, hold on, Carlos. I have a really good question for Chris. When one day you'll have kids and whatever, and you're going to pass on what? The spreads to the kids? Or you're going to pass on the real estate you bought? Like, honestly, think about the assets you're collecting in your lifetime. What are you going to pass on to the children? Am I going to pass on Bitcoin to the kids? Okay. And use that as leverage, as you say, to fund my life, because I can always borrow against that Bitcoin, by the way. It's a lot of Bitcoin. I can borrow against it. So I can use that leverage play in a different capacity for my life. The same with a piece of real estate. So my question to you is, what are you going to pass on to your kids or your family in the future? You tell me.
He's going to make those kids work hard, make their own money.
We'll see what happens. I don't know.
I'm asking you.
I don't know.
Is it going to be
I don't know.
Real estate?
For me,
is
it might be a house.
It
might be a house, but it'll probably be a portfolio of different assets. But
portfolio
most of it's
spreads.
probably going to be mostly in stock, mostly stocks, bonds. Assets
I hope it's
are
actual
easily
assets.
transferable. No, it'll be easily transferable stuff. It's not going to be. Look, some people want to own the physical asset. They want to do the maintenance on it. They want to pay the taxes on it, all that stuff. Look, like right now, my dad has all this property in India, blah, blah, blah. Right now, we have to do succession planning with how we're going to actually transfer it from his name to my name. All that stuff is going to take time and everything else. Whereas, he could have just invested in a REIT that owns property and everything and just said 2 seconds, here you go, transfer the thing to me and call it a day. So each person has different ways that they're going to transfer stuff. I know plenty of people.
Dude,
they're hold on. You're done. So let me do it.
Go ahead.
I'm sure right now you're not going to send your kid, hey, let me buy you a 10,000 microinverters. You're going to give them Enphase stock, right? You bought them Enphase.
That's an asset.
Why
That's an
why
actual
didn't you
asset.
just buy? Well, why didn't you buy the microinverters then? Why don't you just buy a solar
What?
business?
Yeah, it's
Why
not
don't you just
really.
buy a solar business?
That's not
No, I'm just
quite.
saying
Yeah.
it's not always just, oh, buy the asset and give it to people. No, sometimes you buy the underlying stuff, the ownership stake. That's the more important thing. And the ownership stake appreciates in value way, way more than all the other assets.
Here's my question. When we first started this channel, it seems like you didn't really get the Tesla story. You didn't understand Tesla. You didn't think that it was a good investment. And there's been some things that I think Vitaly and I have been able to make you aware of, or at least make the bull case for it. And as the stock performed, you started to see it. There's been a couple of things with that, or even with Enphase. Maybe it's not so much with solar, but the $150,000 question is, do you think now, is a binary answer, is Bitcoin has it been legitimized as an asset class to you, or do you still see it as a scam or something and this is the reason why you're saying, well, you know what, I would never hold the asset, but if a bunch of people are going to make money and miners and this and that, I'll make money on it as a play, but I would never respect it. Do you finally have you legitimized it as an asset class?
To me,
But Carlos, to be fair, real quick before Chris answers, I think the majority of people would say yes to the latter part of your statement, which is they're just trying to make some fucking money. Even Vitaly would say that, right? So
yeah, but hold on.
I've
been dealing with Bitcoin since 2012 because
I get it, but
even
you're
if I'm
trying to make
some
money.
money. Hold on. You
That's my
have to
point.
hold underlying assets for long periods of time.
I agree with that.
To get the big returns that we're talking about here.
I agree with that.
Not the double, not the triple, like literally the 20X's, the 30X.
You got to be right and you got to be early. Those are the two things.
And you just got to wait.
You got to be right and you got to be really early.
And you have to wait. That's the other part.
Yeah, and you always
have
seem
to
crazy.
wait.
The earlier you
I would rather buy strong businesses that can grow over time, and that'll be my way of investing. I never bought gold, don't want to buy gold, and it's the same thing with Bitcoin. To me right now, utility of it is what gives it its value. I'm sure that some people are going to find utility from the exchange like El Salvador is doing. I guess some people are going to say, hey, this is just an asset that's a proxy for value, which is fine too. For me, I would rather own businesses. I can value businesses. I can understand businesses. I don't have to deal with the volatility of a business. If it's going in one way or the other, I can move money out if I need to, if I can move money this way if I need to. So I would rather be in the business side of things rather than holding on to a commodity like Bitcoin, which is, like I said, which is a finite commodity, which might give it its value in the future. But for me, as an investor, I'm more into figuring out businesses and figuring out where the alpha is from there. Not, hey, I think the next guy is going to pay me more for the stuff that I bought yesterday. That's what you guys are doing, which is totally fine. That's how it works.
That is.
All right, we got to move on. It's been 30 minutes. We got so much macro to discuss. We got to move on. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. S&P 500's up 20% year to date. Coinbase is up. Bitcoin's up. Tesla, Nvidia, Big 7 is up. The question is, going into December, do we get a pullback for tax loss harvesting and all the things that happen when we get early into December and then we rally going into the new year? Or does the party continue and do we do 25% on the year? What do you think is going to happen in the month of December?
You stole my answer.
Okay, Carlos, start off.
No, I'm saying you stole my answer. That's what I think it is. I think what are we at?
You think we're going to keep going?
Oh yeah, no. I think we're going to keep going. I think this is a rally to create a FOMO to flush out some cash for tax loss harvesting. I could just be really cynical, but yeah, I think we're going to see a pullback. I don't know how much it's going to be a pullback, but I don't think we're just going to keep rallying and rallying. Maybe we'll see a pullback and have a Santa Claus rally. It'll be kind of a push and pull, but I'm not buying it.
I think the Christmas rally continues because I think the data is coming in that inflation is dead. Powell is probably not raising anything again. Maybe there's no word pause, but it feels like there's a pause. So I think these things are playing for at least a rally. And I don't know if there's a big pullback next year, but I see a Santa Claus rally continuing. I'd be surprised if it didn't. And the thing is, you know why? A lot of stuff is still really down. It's still not like we're not hitting all-time highs with everything.
What are you talking about? Things are.
Well, Google at
Microsoft is hitting an all-time high. Well, not Google.
Okay.
Is Amazon at all-time highs?
No, it's not fully there yet.
There's a lot of stocks nowhere near it. There's a few maybe that obviously, even Apple, I don't think it's at all-time highs, right?
No,
I think that's all.
Tesla
Maybe
definitely
Microsoft.
not either.
Tesla's not. There's a lot of companies that are not there. And also, if I'll do this prediction, I think we go higher, especially if the market spreads out and other companies get more love. Because right now, yes, Google got some love and it's up a lot for the year. But if other companies start to get love, like for example, if Enphase starts to pump, then we know that people are
fake.
relaxing their wallets. It's fake. That's the telltale.
It's
But
fake.
no, I'm talking about the Christmas
Ow!
rally. I'm not talking about like when the quarter numbers come out in January or February, when they're actually real data on boots on the ground.
The other thing
At
is
least for the
right
Christmas
now,
rally.
around now is when these massive bonuses go out. So you expect some of this. money.
PayPal is definitely not an all-time high.
No,
I have
It's
so
just
many
moving
calls.
around.
See, I believe in calls. I have so many
Chris,
calls.
is the
it's
macro
crazy.
fucked in the first week of December, or what do you think's going on?
I think we could still see some rallying, but I would say the risk for Powell coming down and hitting this market with a hammer is getting by the day stronger and stronger. So
But how would he do that? How would he? Could he
Well,
say that could
well,
actually?
verbally, he could just remind everyone that two means two. I think some people have gotten ahead of themselves and saying, look, we're going to start to see cuts in March. If you look at the CME watch tool, they started to already project higher chance of a March cut.
Mhm.
But I think the core argument against that I would make is twofold. One is you still have a strong GDP number that they revised up. So you typically aren't going to be cutting in a higher GDP environment, right? Like you'd be putting the economy on a fire mode if you did that. So that's probably not the thing that they would go for. The other thing is right now you're starting to see shelter prices come down with rent, but not necessarily with shelter at that same pace with like buying and selling. So the inventories are still marginally lower, but this is going to be an important December/January, because typically what happens is housing inventory tends to start going down in December-ish, because people are not exactly trying to move during the winter time, and then it usually picks up in the spring, and then you see the inventory start to inflate in like late spring, early summer, when people are looking to move and their kids are out of school and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, like, this December, does inventory keep building up? If you look at new home sale prices were actually collapsed like almost 18% year over year. And most of them are trading close to what the current resale house prices are, which means either one of two things. Either the demand is dropping off so precipitously and these builders are reacting faster, and the what are they called? And the homeowners that are currently, with their homes on the market, they're just in this state of delusion where they haven't lowered their home prices yet. But neither is a good thing. And so I think eventually the inventory is going to start coming back on the market, and shelter is going to lead the way to the 2%, but it's going to be at a slower pace than most people are expecting. So I'd say probably rate cuts should be coming in about maybe June-ish, maybe a little bit sooner, but I'd say June. And the Fed is going to stick to its 2% target, and I think that's going to be the main driver. My short-term concern though is with the dollar. The dollar's been weakening, and if the dollar weakens too much, and then we also see some volatility in the Middle East, because if you saw the news that just happened to Yemen, where like some terrorists were attacking like ships and stuff, anytime you have geopolitical issues around commodity prices, that could send inflation higher again. So it's just something to be cautious of. And also maybe a colder winter, if that ends up materializing, you'll see natural gas prices rise, which ends up not helping the inflation situation. So everything is in transition right now. So I'd say I'm just being very data dependent. I'm not selling anything, but I'm also not adding a lot. I'm just hoarding cash right now from dividends and anything I get, so that this way, maybe in January, if there is a pullback, which is probably likely, I'll probably end up buying some stuff. Also, layoffs, even though they're not as pronounced, the number of the unemployment rate is still growing.
It is going up.
So that's not a healthy thing. So I think to some degree we've had this momentum that bad news is good, because that means that the Fed is not going to raise. But eventually, bad news is going to equal to bad news. A slowing economy equals slower.
But see, that's
profits.
the thing. Bad news will be bad news, and the Fed will cut. I still think all the assets we care about, me and Chris with TFC, you guys with Tesla and Phase, they still shouldn't do horrible when we get that first cut.
The only thing I would say is that just remember that even with cuts, everything comes with a giant lag. Okay, it doesn't just automatically filter down to the consumer right away. And it also, there's also going to be like how the Fed is going to cut the rates. Are they going to do 500 basis
But,
points?
but even but even the news, even the news of the rate cuts. I hear what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it takes a while to see the effects of the rate cuts played out to a way that justifies increased valuations, but just the news immediately brings in some money that's been sitting on the sideline.
That's true. That's true. That is one thing to consider because there is a lot of money sitting in money market accounts. Those money market accounts will eventually drain. And the question is where's that money find a home? Yeah, where's the money?
Hold on. You keep thinking we need an actual cut and a reversal for a lot of these stocks that were hammered to just they've bottomed. That's it. They've probably bottomed already. I'd be surprised if Enphase goes to your $30 or whatever you're seeing. If we don't have terrible, terrible news, it has to be pretty fucking bad. Then we can see lower prices on all of Tesla included, just any of these growth stocks. But a lot of these stocks might have already bottomed, and they usually bottom 9 months to a year before this turnaround thing happens. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're on a sideways movement for some of them. Of course, people want to check out January and that everything is not totally screwed with the economy. And I think it's over. But January, February will be the time
the retail sales numbers. The retail sales numbers for December will tell us a lot too.
Right, but we talking about January, February,
right? How did Amazon do? How did the big retailers do?
No, they're fine. But I would say keep it.
Amazon's another one, right?
Depending on the actual product itself, even with rate cuts, if the consumer is weakened to the point where they can't afford the product, that could also extend out the amount of time it takes for people to actually buy the stuff, right? So as an example, if we are in a recession and people are losing their jobs and the overall sentiment is not good, and you also have a reverse wealth effect in full swing, you're not going to exactly see people going out and buying a ton of items that may be on the discretionary side of things. So just like I said, those are just key things you just have to keep your eye on.
But
if you think that we've bottomed, hey, who am I to tell you we haven't?
If we haven't bottomed, I actually feel we are very close. By let's say first quarter, I think it's over. Unless the economy is falling apart, like you're saying. I don't even know if anyone believes that. I think we are heading to low inflation, like Powell's saying 2% or so. So I think that's over. I think it's just a matter of the market digesting it and us moving forward because it doesn't turn around that fast. I agree with you, Chris, but we don't have to wait for Powell to actually say the rates are 2% again.
Let me ask this question. What is a black swan event that you think could happen that could fuck up our whole bull run 2024? 431 people in the chat. Thank you for being here. Put it in the comments as well. Let's take 30 seconds to think of it. What is a black swan event? It could be anything.
Reverse repo. It's easy. Reverse repo. Right now, look at the reverse repo market.
What is reverse repo?
I'm not gonna take the time to spend here because it's a lot more complicated.
Give me the TLDR. Give me the what 2 sentences.
No. Just look up reverse repo and banking. Just look those two things up.
Okay, so it's a bank thing. It's a bank thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's more complicated than we have time to explain because we're literally at 37-minute mark. So I'm not going to go into it.
Israel, Taiwan.
No, but you think Taiwan 2024 that could happen?
You're asking me what a black swan event that throws everything we've set out the window.
Obviously, Taiwan.
That's what I'm saying.
Forget about it.
Real quick, I have a question. Have you guys hit the like button? I hit the like button.
That was good. I didn't even hit the like button.
At least we got this.
Wait, did you hit my like button?
You know what? I should hit the like button right
now. Who hit my like button?
Who hit your like button, bro?
I touched your button.
Are you subscribed? Admit to this.
I touched your button. Yo, 61 likes. We got 440 people here. 61 likes is
a pretty good rate.
61 likes. This is lame. Come on.
We need to get
Come on, folks.
more likes on this. There we go. 74. There we go. Okay, we got Zombie Apocalypse by Kelly.
Zombie Apocalypse, yeah.
Commercial real estate refinancing by Rango. AI takes over. That would be crazy if that happens. New virus from China, dude. Could you imagine, bro?
Speaking of which, we went to the doctor the other day because my wife's getting really close to giving birth, and they asked her if she wanted to take this new vaccine for this new virus that's come out. She's like, "Oh, if you take it, then it'll get passed along to the kid, and the kid won't have to get it." I was like, "No, man, no. I want 10 fingers, 10 toes. I don't want 3 eyeballs. I'm
Reaccelerate.
Yeah, don't experiment right now. Let's get the baby out.
Like, why would you even offer that to us?
Yeah, reacceleration of inflation. Yeah, that's a concern.
It's frozen.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring up this topic because we were talking about Bitcoin. We got something else that's hitting all-time highs.
Is he?
Gold. What'd you say?
Is his video
Oh.
stuttering, or am I losing my mind?
No, he's fine.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Your Wi-Fi may blow. Gold 2100. This is up 15% year to date. Bitcoin's up 240% year to date. Do you guys own gold at all? Would you ever think of owning gold?
Not my generation. I don't.
Okay.
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't think I would.
Not too interested in gold.
Mm.
And is there any reason for that other than Bitcoin or?
Well, once I see how well designed Bitcoin was as a store of value, it makes me averse to the things that gold doesn't do as like an analog version of it. You know, gold and silver can be and are easily manipulated. If you control the supply, you control the price. You see this a lot with diamonds. And, you know, I'm sure you've heard the news where they'll find a bunch of diamonds somewhere and they'll destroy them. And so it's because of the fact that we don't know exactly how much is left on Earth for the gold or silver reserves. It's hard to say if it's fair valued or not. And I prefer something more like Bitcoin as a store of value. You understand, before Bitcoin came along, I was really interested in it as an asset class. I wasn't really concerned with buying stores of value. I saw stocks like Apple at $3 trillion with just the high market cap being the greatest stores of value. And Bitcoin was something that was a bit different. So just a short answer, no, not interested in buying.
Yeah, let's not forget gold. You can, you know, as the price goes up, we might actually have more people now mining gold, and they can actually get more gold out of the ground. So you can't do that with Bitcoin. Yes, more computers can come onto the network, but the network adjusts to still spit out the same amount of Bitcoin. You can't get more out of it. So that's why I'm still interested just in Bitcoin and nothing to do with gold.
What if Satoshi Nakamoto one day just comes out and says, haha, tricked you guys. This is all fake mumbo jumbo junk.
It would still go up.
But here's the thing. He can, even if he's the largest holder of Bitcoin. He's got over millions of Bitcoin, right?
A million, I think.
But he has set something into motion that even like say him couldn't destroy. In order for you to destroy the Bitcoin network now, you would literally have to unplug like every single computer. Like how do you destroy the Bitcoin network? Aside from regulation, which just physically doesn't allow people that you criminalize the buying and selling of it, how do you destroy Bitcoin as an asset class?
I mean, you just answered it, right? That's like the biggest risk.
But if they're okay, but what happens is this is what happens. Let's just say 90% of the countries on the planet ban Bitcoin. The 10% of the countries that do now are holding 100% of the Bitcoin. And if it was converted from fiat currency, the market cap is huge, and they're the ones that essentially control it. You know what I mean? So you're basically concentrating the wealth. That's what you would do, is you would concentrate the wealth.
Well, I mean, it's just,
why do you think there's a race to see how many you can get?
No, I'm just saying the risk is that this asset class eventually ends up competing against fiat currencies, which is the ultimate goal. And the fiat currency, everyone gets together and says, look, this is an unsustainable thing. Like, we are losing control over the populace. You know, they're free. I don't like freedom because that's what central banks do. They're not exactly in the business of giving people freedom.
In the freedom business.
Yeah, but a good way for them to
that's
control
their
it.
F word.
Yeah, but a good way for them to control it is just to buy a lot of Bitcoin. And
yeah,
once
I mean,
again,
the U.S. government saw.
Well, and you saw the chart.
And control the money. Just whatever
the
U.S.
money
government,
is, the money.
The government
US
is on the
owns
list.
a lot.
The government, I think, is number 4 or 5 on the list of the largest holder. 202,000 Bitcoins. They have more Bitcoins than MicroStrategy right now.
The Chinese government, as we saw on our list, has a lot of.
is up there too.
China banned it, right? You can't do it in China. You can't get the Bitcoin.
For some reason, they own it.
What a surprise!
They banned it for regular people.
Okay, let's end on this topic. Or Vitaly, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Well, there is someone, I think Rango mentioned, there is a way you can attack the network if you get over 51% of the computers to attack the network. But as Bitcoin price goes up, that becomes incredibly expensive to do. Yeah. So at some point you just acquiesce and just buy Bitcoin.
You know, another reason I think you guys are right about when Bitcoin, let's say, gets to the all-time high 69K again. When it got there last time, interest rates were 0. Now interest rates are going to come down when it gets there. Let's say it gets to 60K in the next couple months or whatever. In the next year, interest rates are still going to be at least 4.5 at least, right? So if interest rates come down, risk on is, you know, everywhere. I don't know what the catalyst is. Like, who's selling at that point to knock it back down to 15K, right? So I think there is an argument that as interest rates come down, because Bitcoin's like if Bitcoin's at 12K right now, it would be different. But it got to 40K while interest rates are already here.
There
So it
are
begs the question.
sellers. There are sellers, but typically at this point in the cycle, a majority of the Bitcoin that was, first of all, you have to understand within the last couple of years, only about 30% of the actual Bitcoin is available to even buy and sell.
Yeah.
Most of it is just not. So you've got this weird situation. I don't know why we're at this price. The only thing, but you are seeing a record number of wallets now. So you're talking about a larger number of people holding small amounts of Bitcoin.
Well, let
Then-
me
then
answer
you've
at least
never
why
seen it.
we're at this price. When miners stop selling and they wait for bigger prices, prices go up.
Yeah, but this always happens in the months leading up to the halving, but it's
Mhm.
never been at the same time that a record number of the Bitcoins are off the exchanges. This is the part about this is the unexpected good side of the collapses of things like Binance, where people don't trust the exchanges, which now makes it a lot harder to sell. Like you don't have people with their money.
No,
on
no, it's
exchanges
all about
saying,
the miners,
"At this
dude.
price, sell." You know what I mean?
If the miners know Bitcoin's going up, they hold back on selling it. That's just the bottom line. So if the miners decide, you know what, we think Bitcoin is overvalued right now at 40,000, it's going back to 20,000. That's Bitcoin does that all the time, and it might happen in January. Who knows? But
Just a quick shout out
as
to
this having
Garcia. Hold on. Oh, sorry,
as this
sorry,
having
go ahead.
approaches, then you're right. They're going to start holding back again for sure.
Yep.
So whether it's now or it's in 4 months from now, what's the difference? The point is they're going to hold back a lot of Bitcoin because they're waiting for 100,000. We all know that.
Yeah. So big shout out to Garcia, who officially got his
What?
badge of honor. He got banned
What?
by Gary Black. Congratulations,
say
Garcia.
What happened? What did he say?
He said Gary Back apparently only owns 600 grand of Tesla, which is insane. How the fuck is
What?
this your messiah and he owns 600 grand of
Pretty lame.
Tesla? That's it? Like,
No,
I don't want to say how much Tesla I own, but I'm almost competing with the Black.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, man. Yo, Vitaly, we should get together and start.
I think we can start our own fund.
What?
unless
Collectively,
Garcia is
they're-
wrong about that, but
No,
that's
collectively, their cars are probably worth more than
Are
these
you
guys.
kidding
Than
me?
Gary
Oh
Black's
my
total
God,
ownership.
that's
You know what
actually
pissed me off
shocking.
about Gary Black?
That is a
No,
low
but
number.
Gary Black also has said that Tesla's the second largest position. So that
can
would
someone
mean,
can someone look
What is
pull
this
this
Yeah,
fund
fucking
real
can
quick?
you make sure
Can we-
about
can we-
this?
I think
This
TJ
seems
the
too
real
low.
deal is slinging more money, is wheeling in more money than Gary
Dude,
Black.
I don't get
All
that
I
this
know is
guy
I'm gonna have a
charges-
fund. I'm gonna call it the past fund, not the future fund.
I don't get that he charges $3 a month or whatever for subscriber only tweets. You're a fund manager. How are you like trying to monetize Twitter? Like you should be making millions by picking the right stocks, not $3 a month from your fucking private.
I don't
tweets.
listen. I don't fault him for that. But what I do
I don't
fault
fault him. It's
Are you
just
sure it's not
weird,
600
bro.
million?
Garcia
That sounds
is
wrong.
better. Garcia's better than I am at holding his tongue, because there's been some tweets that I've drafted in response to him, and I'm like, I can't write it this way. I literally had to censor myself because I'm like that. I know that I would get get blocked. But the man is a tremendous walking hypocrisy. He is a huge walking contradiction. He'll say he's bitching for months that Tesla is cutting prices. Cybertruck comes out and he goes, the price is too damn high. And I'm like, what the, how do you,
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
like, how do you sleep at night? How do you
Gary
rectify
Black
those
is a
things in your
clout
head?
chaser, dude. He's a clout chaser.
Well,
It's
him,
easy
you know,
enough
and
to
the
see.
Ross Gerbers, I'm just like, do you not read your own tweets? Do you not see what people are saying? Like,
If it wasn't for Tesla, no one would even know what Gerber Kiyosaki is. All right.
I
Same thing
guess.
with Gary Black. No one would even give a shit. Not to mention Gary Black, whatever. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not a part of the giant Tesla community that.
How much does Ross
that-
Gerber
that has
own of Tesla? Can anyone look that up?
I've heard it's not as much as you would think either.
And maybe he's trying to collapse Tesla so he can buy some more. Maybe that's what he's
Maybe,
waiting on.
but then Vitaly and I need to try to get on the board of Tesla.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then we
gotta
have
start
a
our own
right to be
fund.
on the board. Yeah.
I think the
let's do this
Enphase
one
Tesla
last-
fund.
Let's do this one last topic and then we'll end it out. So KRIS had a good tweet on Friday. Big tech is coming down and smaller companies that are not really as cool as big tech, I guess, is going up. Do you think December we see a rotation out of these big ass names, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, etc.? NVIDIA's already down, Google's down, Microsoft's all times high, but we'll see if it comes back down and we get into open affirms of 90% for the month, right? Do you guys think that happens?
Jesse was Xing or posting or whatever about that same thing, that a lot of the money that went into the big seven is now trickling down. It's funny. I hate to keep bringing it back, but this is exactly what happens during the Bitcoin runs. It usurps all of the market cap, and then once people start to sell out, they have these new, fresh profits, and there's all these mid caps that they're starting to look attractive, and the money just cascades down. And I feel like it happens so slowly and across different sectors that we don't see it for what it is. But like, it actually does work like water, like liquid, like like waves in a pool. If there's a reason why there's so many terms that are that borrow from the idea of liquid, right? Even just the term liquidity, that's what it is. And so, yeah, I think we're seeing the splashdown from all of the big 7 that have run up, maybe with the exception of Google. And now you're seeing this money trickle down into so we're in the part where the mid caps run, right? And then maybe when there's some profits there, then these some small caps will get some love.
I'd say right now we're rotating into small and mid cap, guaranteed. But this is where stock pickers ultimately should be the guys that actually make the money. And the reason why I say that is because for every small and mid cap like that, I would say about between 30 to 50% of all small and mid cap companies are zombie companies, where there's very little profit to be had. They're just pretty much running on fumes. Their free cash flow is barely anything, if not negative. And the only thing that they just keep doing is diluting shareholders and living another day.
I mean, you could just say Palantir. Amit's not.
No, it's not. No, first of all, Palantir is not.
Just kidding.
Palantir is not small or that, so you can't really say that. And they're actually generating free cash flow. You can't say that. Even though I'm a Palantir bear at this valuation, I can't deny that they're not.
I know, but sometimes when I see Amit on his phone, I'm like, what can you say to get him to look up? And if you just say Palantir, he's like,
All right. Before we end on Uber, before we end on Uber, and me and Chris are right again on Uber.
Oh yeah, let's do Uber.
This is how you know crypto is gonna run. Okay.
Okay.
Walmart,
So first,
Miami is the
I went to Walmart. Look what they're selling at Walmart.
Oh my goodness, this is
Baby
not good.
ape.
This is not good.
No, but I'm saying, yeah, this is a Bored Ape. This is the Bored Ape Club. They're selling
Dude,
this.
what are Bored Apes
Walmart
worth right now? They were worth
I'm
a
saying,
couple.
why the fact that they're starting to sell this NFT stuff, that's kind of amazing. That's a sure sign we're heading into some massive FOMO that's going to be happening.
So OpenSea's valuation is down from 13 billion to 9.
It was $7.
It was on clearance. OpenSea is the NFT platform. I'm sure people know about it. It went from 13 billion to 94 million, which is like a big drawdown in terms of valuation. I think that's good. That goes against kind of Chris, your point of some of the small caps are rallying because stupid companies like that are coming back down to normal. But if ETH keeps going up, NFTs are all traded on ETH, right? We might see more momentum on OpenSea. And then, so it's a weird scenario where we're in right now.
I mean, okay, so this is where we have to take a step back and just say, this is where George Soros actually said this one thing that's been resonating with me for like the last 3-4 days. He said there's 3 times where you can make money in the market when it comes to like a new technology or a new industry. First is the run up. So you can make a buttload of money when it goes, it finally comes out and you discover the product and it just runs up like crazy. And then what happens is it goes into bubble territory. The second time you can make money is when the bubble pops and you can short the shit out of that industry and then it comes down significantly, right? So that's the second time. And the third time where you can make the money, which is the most important one, is the long-tailed retracement, not back to all-time highs, but back to a mid-level where there isn't as much exaggerated exuberance, So that is the 3 times where you can make money. And maybe OpenSea is running into that zone where you're seeing this huge run-up when there was a giant bull market, and then you had this huge drawdown when there was a bear market. And now what you're going to see is the utility of some of these NFTs and some of these other blockchain-oriented projects start to come back, but they're not going to be like bubble-ish crazy returns like you saw when the technology first got announced. So you're going to see like a steady growth like this, but it's going to be like catering
it's not going to happen at all. Pace. This is going to be a bubble. This is going to be,
I don't know, man.
This is going to be a massive bubble.
Vitaly, what price do you start selling Bitcoin in 2024?
I think
2024, the price has to get there.
I decided that at all-time highs, somewhere around there, I will start selling some of my Bitcoin. Not a lot of it, maybe, but I will start taking profits. And I do expect it to go over 100,000. But I think I'm learning from all my past mistakes that I always wait till some magical number, and that's ridiculous. So I'm going to take some profits.
Carlos, how about you?
I before this, like during the last run, I was looking at it at when do I sell like individual Bitcoins, and now it's just more about taking cash at certain market cap or portfolio values. So I think like I don't think I'm going to sell like at $70,000. I don't think I'm going to start taking profit. I didn't wait 4 years and hold on to at this point now just to combat inflation. I need to make more than 70,000 on a Bitcoin that I had when it was 70,000 in November 2021, right? It needs to be 85, 90 or 100,000, probably 100,000. But I think what I'm going to end up actually doing is holding the Bitcoin longer than I think and start to gut my Ethereum position first. That's what I think I'm going to do.
What is the percentage of Ethereum to Bitcoin in the crypto part of your portfolio?
Probably, I have to run the numbers because I haven't seen what the price, but I don't know, maybe 25% of the crypto portfolio would be Ethereum. But it depends because you have that Bitcoin dominance, right? Where Bitcoin just takes more of the market cap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once we get into 5-digit Ethereum, it gets kind of crazy. I mean, I literally could pay off my house. Like, why wouldn't I do that and then still hold my Bitcoin?
So this is the chart that I just want to show you guys quickly. Tech bubble was in 1999. You saw that crazy things were just riding up, .com, everything. And then you saw that massive drawdown all the way to 2003. And then you kind of saw like a nice steady growth for the next 20 something years. I'd say look at industries that are doing things like this, where there's been massive bubbles upward and then there's a huge drawdown and then it comes up. So my thinking right now, especially for something like AI, is that right now with NVIDIA, we're seeing this huge run up. I think eventually AI is going to pop and then it's going to come down. And then over the next decade, maybe 15 years, you're going to see a nice slot, like rise just like this. So this is where you can be bullish on a particular industry in the future, but it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily be bullish when it's like just riding up like this. I've rarely ever seen any single industry just go parabolic like this and it's never come back down again. It always has its huge run up with a velocity that's increasing literally like 200, 300% within a short period of time. And then you have that huge drop where it loses about 70 to 80% of its value. And then over the next 20, 30 years, it just meaningfully goes up. And this is, by the way, this is relative to the S&P 500, so just putting that out there.
Is this pointing out the big 7 versus the rest of the companies? Was that
No,
chart?
I think just it's just the entire technology sector, so big 7 was a little bit different, but yeah, I think overall it could be the same thing for Bitcoin too, just putting it out there that yes, eventually Bitcoin could go back to all-time highs, but it might take a little longer than what some people might be speculating on. So
December 2025. I mean 2024.
Maybe.
Put it in your calendars, people.
Maybe. Is that what's your why is that? Please explain to me. I really want to know why.
See, this is what I mean.
It's the halving. Is that the halving?
The halving is an important event.
Just
yes.
the real quick. Yes, it's actually built into the system. It's actually built into it. If that's it, the miners make money. The miners make money by supporting the network. Their rewards for that are right now it's like 3.5 or so Bitcoins every 10 minutes are created on the blockchain. At some point in April, 100 days from now, I think it's like, no, because it's going to go down to 1. It's going to go down to 1 something, 1 Bitcoin. Yeah.
So here's a question: how many halvings have happened so far?
We've now had it started in 2012, so there was the one in 2013, 2017, the 20. So this would be the 4th, I believe, the 4th halving.
So what's usually the pattern after the halving?
Let's look at the chart. Bring up the rainbow chart.
Bring up the rainbows, baby. I'm on the rainbow. I'm a leprechaun. I'm on the rainbow now.
It's built in. Usually, every subsequent halving, there's less of a run up. But like the first one was like 100x increase in price. The second one like a 10x increase in price. And the last one was like a 3 or 4x increase in price. Just because the market cap makes it harder to get 100.
Carlos, I just looked it up. So we are going from 6.25 Bitcoins right now to 3.125 Bitcoins as the block reward.
So the miners reward per block is going to be cut in half. So right now they're getting 6 Bitcoins. If you did all of the mining for an entire block for that 10 minutes on the Bitcoin network, you would get 6 Bitcoins at the end of every 10 minutes. You understand? So every 10 minutes.
Can you guys put up the chart? Can you put up the rainbow chart? I just want to see it.
I agree. The peak is probably 2025, but I assume December 2024 will be a pretty.
Because it's
Pretty
usually
pretty
100
massive.
100
yeah.
and something days, 175, 200 days after the halving. Since the halving is happening at in the beginning of the year, you can just figure somewhere towards the end of the year. But that's what causes it, because the miners rewards are paid in the asset itself. You understand? And so they know that I'm getting 6 Bitcoins per 10 minutes now, but I'm only going to get 3 for this in whatever. Just ask yourself if your payment compensation was the same way.
And yes, and if the ETF does happen during this next year, and obviously I haven't sold Bitcoin, I feel the run will be pretty freaking massive. So you definitely don't want to sell too early at this point, because if an ETF happens in June or July, oh my God, it'll be crazy.
Think
This
it's
is
time to
a
buy some
great
Bitcoin,
here,
boys. Make some money.
This is a
How
great,
much Bitcoin you got already, Amit?
Yo, dude, I fucking sold. I had Bitfarms calls, and I sold them for 46% gain in 2 days. Those calls are going to be up like 100% tomorrow. But I sold them because I was like, I'm up 46%. I should take some profits.
Can you share this screen?
That's okay.
But
So
they're
here's
gonna move
what
it
you
tomorrow.
get. The price of Bitcoin and the percent return is calculated from the market cycle bottom to the new peak. So it's not like necessarily the price that it was at the halving. It's considered from the bottom to peak. So this is what happened. This was the first one, the cycle bottom. Then you get this top. So these here, 2011 to 2013, 2015 to 2017, 2019, and so on and so forth. So usually after you get that blow off top, there's a period of accumulation sideways. It trades in a certain channel. Then Bitcoin halves, and then you get a jump up, basically a new plateau. I mean, if you're looking at this chart, I just don't see how you can look at this chart and think this is a scam, this is going to zero, or we're not going to continue going up. Because the only reason we've gotten here is because the halvings have done what they were designed to do. And more people become aware of this as an asset class as time goes by. I mean, just look at that chart. It's up and to the right, basically.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, I'm not selling
So
all
there
my
we go.
Bitcoin, even if it runs
You
to
know?
100, 150. There's a certain amount that I do want to keep for the long term, because I do consider it like a piece of real estate. And I would hope to pass it on to the kids, that they have something that could be extremely, extremely valuable and life-changing for like future generations of the
Guys,
family.
Bitcoin's at 41K. We got to ring the bell because right near at the
Ring
end of
the
the
bell.
pod,
Boom, boom,
we're at
boom.
500 people,
Wow.
baby.
Well, exactly.
And if those 500 people
Each
were
bought a
listening
Bitcoin.
to us a year ago when we were talking about a year ago, discussing Bitcoin when nobody wanted it, and it was called a scam, and still called a scam in the comments, they would be pretty happy right now.
I don't think it's a
Last
scam
year
anymore.
last year on today's
I mean,
date,
now I don't think it's a scam. A year ago, it's a fucking scam. Okay?
No, a year ago I said, guys, I don't understand it.
months
Can
ago,
you
3
explain
months
it better? And your guys' communication skills was so horrible, because if it
horrible.
was good, you would have convinced me, but it was just not good.
Could be
Chris
wrong.
convinced me to get TFC. He was better at communicating. I don't know what to tell you guys. By the way, I'm up a lot on TFC now.
Yeah, but okay, you're up a lot. But let me say this: Bitcoin's price last year was $17,084. It is up 131% since this time last year.
It's not bad.
And we're not. And the thing, and we're not even. We haven't even ran. The only
I don't think we're anywhere near it.
The only thing I would say this time with respect to whether you hold Bitcoin, I think I'm going to be completely out of Bitcoin this time, VITALY, because I am going to trust that we are going to get flushed out again. It's going to happen again, in which case I'm going to take a certain percentage of the profits that I take from it to buy back in at specific bottoms, like 70% down or 80% down from whatever the tops are. I'm going to start to DCA back in on the way
Well, what do you
down.
think is going to happen at 69,000? I think there's going to be a massive pullback.
I don't know if it'll be a massive pullback, because again, I just don't think there's going to be as much sell pressure as the buy pressure. Once you break the
I think
high,
Bitcoin likes to psych people out.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Out.
Unlike with a stock, when it reaches an all-time high, like I was surprised Chris bought Microsoft on the day it hit, like maybe not an all-time high, but a 52-week high. I'm surprised, because typically with a stock, you don't want to buy on an all-time high. You're like, well, no one that's bought this stock has lost money. It's kind of dangerous, right? There's people holding, especially with options. But with Bitcoin specifically, that's when people start to FOMO in.
Yep.
And so that's why I don't think, even if we get a pullback.
Yeah, but Bitcoin, I'm telling you, a 50% pullback would not be shocking at $69,000. So it would still go down.
You think there's no chance you get a 50% pullback here at 40K?
Say what?
What is the chance we go to 20K from here?
Yeah.
From here, I don't know.
If Chris is right and Powell comes out and raises the rates again, then maybe
we might get a dump. But I have been holding.
I didn't say raise. I didn't say raise, by the way. I just said it comes out strong against this market that's saying that there are going to be early cuts, where he could actually just come out and say, listen, motherfuckers, 2 means 2. Okay. It does not mean 2.2, does not mean 2.5. It means
Right.
fucking 2. So if we don't see a 2, don't expect a cut. And the thing is, by March, we might not see 2. So a lot of people are going to be disappointed, in which case they're going to say, oh my God, and take a step
When
back.
is the next Fed meeting?
December 12th.
The next one's
You're
December
muted.
December 12th to the 13th. December 12th to the 13th.
December 12th. Okay. December
Yeah.
12th. The halving date is April 24th, 2024.
All right. Weird question. Are there any other cryptos that are going to run because of Bitcoin?
They're
He's
all
like,
that
gonna
are
run.
not
I've
running?
missed
No,
Bitcoin.
they're all-
Where can I go?
They're
No,
all
I'm
gonna-
not saying that. I'm just
They're
saying,
all gonna
like,
run.
hey, listen,
They're all gonna
They're all
run.
gonna
But
run.
they're all gonna run. But with all of those, that's where I agree with you that they're like Ponzi schemes, they're scams, because I don't
Right.
see the utility in that. That to
Ethereum.
me
Ethereum ran. I mean, I wish
Ethereum, yeah, but
I wish I
Ethereum is
bought more
different.
under 1,000 again, but
Mhm.
Ethereum, yeah, it's. I think we have a good return coming for Ethereum.
okay. The
But
reason
other
why I
than that,
say
I'm
that,
not
the
into
reason
that.
why I say that is because our boy Steven Fiorello, I have spoken to him multiple times, and he just keeps telling me, like, look, man, XRP is gonna absolutely kill it. And I'm not a
Maybe.
crypto guy. I'm not a crypto guy, so I don't know what to even look at or judge based on this. But he's been right. If I had gotten into
Okay, well, so-
XRP,
Hold on.
no.
Look at XRP's chart. Actually, I had a lot of
Mhm.
XRP. I got rid of it.
Me
Uh,
too,
yeah.
XRP ran to 350 or some $3 or so back in 2017.
Yeah,
Did it ever get its all-time high in the last bull run?
no.
So why do you expect it to do it this time?
It's
Now,
just
Cardano-
one of those.
But
It'll be
to
one of those things that
Cardano-
he's
point,
got
to
to
Chris's point, it doesn't need to be an all-time high. It just needs to be a massive return from the
Yeah,
point
but
that you bought
it's
it.
not
6
good
cents
enough.
right
But
now.
look at Cardano; it did beat its all-time high, so that has a chance to actually continue its run. I would say,
Well,
if I was going to
the
bet
mo-
on something, Solana is another one someone's mentioning. That's a good one.
Yeah, but here's the difference. When Bitcoin was at the
But you're
all-time high,
gambling on all those. That's
when
just gambling.
Bitcoin,
on all of this.
when Bitcoin was at the all-time high, what was the total market cap of all of crypto? Wasn't it like 2 trillion? This is the last at 69,000 in November of 2021. I think all of crypto, Apple was still bigger than all of crypto. And that's something that I think is going to be different this time. I think the crypto market, in order to reach the prices that we think, it's going to have to be much larger than Apple. Maybe like a 2x of Apple's market.
And by the way, I meant this is something that I mentioned before. I mean, I didn't mention before that I want to just clarify. What happens is there's usually, with that scenario that I just pointed out, with all the rise, like huge rise in speculation, and then you see have a huge drawdown, and then you have this rise up. Usually, only about 5 to 10% of the companies that were originally involved recover, because the other 90% go out of business and just die completely. Right. So that could happen with crypto as well, where the only 2 real survivors, maybe 3 or 4 survivors, ends up being Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Cardano and Solana, whatever.
XRP,
Just
Cardano, I don't see those
yeah.
going away personally.
So
Doge, I
that
don't see
was
Doge going away. But and Tether, people
Yeah.
talk about Tether, but I mean,
Well, but
Bitcoin,
no,
Ethereum,
that's
XRP,
pegged to the
Cardano.
dollar. That's
so
not,
so
not
here's one other thing that I've seen, and this is what CoffeeZilla keeps bringing up, which is this whole, maybe it's a conspiracy, I don't know, with this whole thing with Tether, that they just kind of print money out of thin air.
Yes.
Have you guys done any research on that? And like,
no.
what
Tether is a scam, but it's a scam that's been incorporated into crypto, like many scams. So Tether is a problem, but it's supposedly pegged to the dollar. Like they had backing at some point, or they said they did. But now they're saying there's equivalence to the backing. So it's not necessarily sitting in a bank account dollar for dollar, which it should be. And that's why, like, I would not hold Tether in my account. But if Tether tanks, don't get me wrong, Bitcoin is going to tank too, because Tether is so important to the system.
Because it looks like it's got about $90 billion in assets. Like, and I'm asking myself,
I would not hold
what
it.
the fuck? What
I would
the
not
F?
hold it.
90 billion? Where's that? Where
I
is
would
that
hold
money?
USDC, which is Coinbase's coin. I would hold that one if you want to hold something pegged to the dollar.
Yeah, and then Bitcoin Cash is something else different. That's
Do not
just
even
like
mess with that.
I
Bitcoin
know.
Cash. No.
No. If you're playing,
And
if
what
you're
about
playing, like, the
Satoshis?
outskirts-
Satoshis. What about Satoshis?
Oh, no,
Satoshis
that's
are-
Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin.
Satoshi's
That's
Bitcoin.
That's 1/1 millionth of a Bitcoin. One Satoshi is 1/1 millionth of a Bitcoin.
So,
Right,
So
so
if I don't
eventually,
want
one
dollar-
Satoshi might be like $1, right?
Right.
Or $1,000.
yeah,
or
the
whatever.
idea
I don't
if
know.
Bitcoin is $1 million, then one Satoshi is $1.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that would be the idea. That would be how it would. So
If
yeah,
you're playing the fringes, Chris, if that's what you want to look instead of just
No, I'm
Bitcoin,
not playing
Ethereum.
crypto. I'm not a crypto guy. I'm like I said, I'm
you
always
say that like you're
interested to
offended. Like you're like, whoa, whoa,
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
roll.
the
I don't
reason-
roll like that. I don't.
The reason why
don't
is
say that.
for me, I try to incorporate understanding other markets into the investing spectrum. So it's almost like, okay, how does the liquidity of crypto end up playing out in the general economy? Like if you have all this money making its way into the crypto markets where it's getting locked up, that means that inflation could actually start going down. You know, if you're taking real US dollars and those US dollars are now being parked in US, in DT, and then that is going towards bidding up assets like Bitcoin, that means that there's liquidity being drained somewhere. So that's the kind of thing that I want to see. Like, so right now, could we go into a deflationary scenario with all these cryptos pumping, where all these excess US dollars, instead of making their way into businesses, people spending money, they're being locked up in an asset class that's not necessarily very liquid, So
Well, believe me,
just-
when I didn't sell in 2021, I'm very aware of how much liquidity that I have kept in the system and not in my own pocket.
right. That's what I mean. Like when you see these asset classes come out, that means that liquidity is being put somewhere. So right now, if you see a Bitcoin run up, that means that people may not say, hey, listen, I want to go out and see a movie, but I may not go see a movie. Instead, I might just buy some Satoshis, or buy a Bitcoin, whatever. So, or buy a particular crypto. And so that could help the inflation narrative. So right now I'm looking at all the different market caps that are out there and saying, oh, that's how much money is sitting in this particular crypto. That means that all that excess
Yeah,
liquidity.
but no,
is-
hold
is-
on.
is
Market caps
put
don't work
somewhere.
that way. We know that, right? They don't.
Yeah.
If
Well, I mean,
if,
the other
if
one.
there's no
does. I'm
buyers
saying
and
US
someone starts selling,
Yeah.
the price will drop to nothing immediately.
Right. No, I'm saying with USDT is different because apparently they
USDC
have assets back.
and
No,
US.
USDC or yeah.
There's
just
two.
money.
The Tether, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
Right. So it's technically assets that are sitting on the sidelines as opposed to being in the general
Yes.
economy.
Yes.
Let's do these
I
super
agree,
chats
yes.
real quick. Heinzie Ketchup says, I'm surprised at the bearish view on metals like gold and silver while being bullish on solar and battery tech. I think he's talking about you guys there. But you guys are more, you guys are bullish on companies in solar, not really.
No, but what he's saying is like for example, you need gold and like semiconductors. So how could you be bullish on? But that's not.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
difference between the use case of the asset itself and then the investment in the asset class. So I don't see them
Yeah.
as. Being
I'm not bullish on just electric motors. You know what I mean? I'm bullish on Tesla.
Yeah, it's what they're doing with the motors.
I mean, there's also besides that, rare metals like that are also used in industry. Like the one that I really like to look at is platinum, because platinum is actually a catalyst. So a lot of things can pretty much use platinum as an industrial metal. The one area that we haven't spoken about that actually I'm doing a little bit of research right now, and I'm getting some great information from one of my Patreons, is in uranium. Have you guys ever checked out the uranium market?
It's been all over my feed lately. On
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I
literally-
keep hearing-
Next episode. We got to end it now.
Yeah. We
Real
can
quick,
always
last
talk about
super chat,
uranium
$2.
tomorrow.
Verizon, Chris, yes or no? Should you buy it now?
The Bitcoin
Say
man
that
wants
again?
to know if he should sell his Bitcoin and buy the VZ.
I don't know, man. I this is not a financial
The guy
advice.
just
I'm not
made
gonna
40, 50 grand. He can't put more than $1.99 down.
Oh my God.
See, this is why no one gives shit, man. Because you're judging them. You are the fucking Pokemon of our thing. Like, oh,
No,
you
he's like the
brokies,
Asian.
You can't afford my
Dude, did you see
He's
what
like the
Pokemon
Asian
did?
cookie, like
Do you
the
guys
Asian
know her?
father.
I'm like
She's a
the
Twitch
Asian.
streamer. She's a Twitch streamer. She launched some cookies. They're like $28, and on her stream in front of hundreds of thousands of people, she's like, if you can't afford them, just stop being a broke boy. And it's just so
Mm.
inconsiderate, bro, to people.
All right, calm down.
I mean,
Okay, come on. All right,
I'm not
can we
saying
wrap
you're like
this up?
that, but I'm saying. Okay, Russell,
only
so if
messing
I
around.
send your crypto to blockchain, can y'all discuss blockchain as a company of? Okay, I'm gonna screenshot
How
this
about tomorrow?
This
How about tomorrow?
I'll screenshot this. Here we go.
And
Thank you for the
Uber
$5,
tomorrow.
Russell. We appreciate it. I'll talk about it tomorrow for sure.
And Uber.
And Uber tomorrow. All right, guys, good stuff. We'll see you guys 9 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you, 500 people, for being here. Finance Junkies, we are out. Bye bye.
Later.
That was a quick ending. I should do this more. That was great. That was awesome. All right, bye, guys.